Hope you all got your taxes in on time this year, but whether you did or not, you're still going to get to enjoy some board game news from us right now on our weekly news roundup for April 15th, 2019. Czech Games Edition announced a big new release for later this year. It's called Sanctum. This comes from Filip Neduk, the designer of another game they put out in recent years called Adrenaline. That game was sort of an adaptation of a first-person shooter to the board game format. This one is an adaptation of the dungeon crawler style video game in the vein of something like Diablo. In the game, Sanctum is the name of this city that all players are playing to try to protect, but it is competitive. You're going to be trying to gain the most points by progressing, defeating monsters. The monsters are cards, which are double-sided, and on the back of every monster is a special weapon. So as you play, that's how you'll be looting things, gaining new weapons, new abilities, and getting progressively stronger as the game goes on. We don't have a ton of details about how the gameplay exactly works, but we know that it's going to involve a dice rolling mechanic that, according to their little blurb about it, is deceptively simple, and as you go, it's going to depend a lot on what you have equipped and how you use it.
Yes, because as you know, dice, they're usually very complicated.
Yes, they can be. If they're, maybe they're like weird sides or something.
It is Czech, and we have enjoyed, and we really did like Adrenaline.
Yeah, Adrenaline was a lot of fun.
That was, I think it actually did a really good job of catching that sort of, the old school first person, I feel, like where you just, like,
or like Quake or
yeah,
something
that
like
was exactly, where you just keep going in and dying and loading up crazy weapons.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how this works, because a dungeon crawl is like, well, yes, you mentioned like Diablo. It's not new to board games.
Sure, I think in the way that it's being done it is, because I think dungeon crawler in board games, at least to me, means something a little different. I feel like a lot of times also they are cooperative, and in this case, that's not how it's working. And I don't know. Like I said, they haven't said much, but it doesn't sound like you'll be fighting each other directly. More that you're just trying to get the best
hunt
stuff.
the most demons or something.
Yeah, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works exactly, and if it is, again, like a Diablo, if there's scenarios, like sort of a campaign, or if it's just a random setup each time. Like they didn't even show us the board; we just saw some cards and minis.
Right.
But. Like
do we know price or anything either?
Nope, no price, nothing. We know it's going to be, I think it's scheduled for release at Essen this year.
All right.
So hopefully we'll find out more. Maybe it'll be at Gen Con, but Czech Games, it seems like one of their big high-profile releases for the year, so we will definitely keep an eye out for more.
Now on to ZMan, where we have two announcements. The first one is for a new game. The other one is for more information about a new edition of a game that we've already talked about. So we'll start there. Love Letter, which is already a very popular game, was bought from AEG to ZMan, where they announced they're going to make a 6-player version. We didn't know how, but they finally announced the details. So they've added one guard, which is sort of the basic card that you'll often see a lot when playing that game, but they've added 2 new roles, the Chancellor and the Spy. In the Chancellor, lets you actually put a card on the bottom of the draw deck, so you'll know what's drawn, and the Spy lets you actually possibly gain favor in addition to the winner, if you're the only one who used spy cards. Now, the favor, if you don't know, is how you win the game, because pretty much the game is trying to get the most favor to the princess, and hence your love letters are reaching her. There is also a new Choose Your Own Adventure game, this one called War with the Evil Power Master. And no way did I mess up that title 5 times before this. It's a Choose Your Own Adventure game, but the way this one works is you're actually crewing a spaceship to fight this evil power master and try to find out where he's located out of 9 planets. So you will have a crew each with their own abilities and a tracker where you have to sort of boost your sort of signal in order to find out where he is located. I assume that this is just like the previous ones, already based on a book from the series.
It is.
But the idea conceptually does sound much cooler, like almost like you choose the chapters and you choose the planets.
Yeah, the board looks very, very different from the first game, which is Cool, because I think they could have easily just kept that exact format, but it's nice that they're actually tailoring them to the themes of the game, so it's not like you're a psychic investigator in every book. And also, this is by the same author who wrote the original book of the first one too, so you can expect probably more of the same kind
Some
of
more chimpanzees?
insanity that came along with that. We have a full review of that first game if you want to hear what we think about that system, that format.
Right.
And the love letter rolls seem pretty interesting. They actually seem kind of fun, and like the Chancellor will actually maybe add a bit more strategy for future rounds. And the Spy sounds important for 6-player games because with more players, I feel like it might be harder to win because you might be kicked out earlier more.
Yeah, and they get more spread out, so this way there could be more. The game keeps the game still short, which is one of the big things I love about Love Letter.
Right.
We do enjoy the Love Letter. We have the original,
we use the it's like the Kanai Factory edition, which is like Japanese art, and maybe this is one to pick up because we've been playing that version for so long, and I don't know, it might be fun to have a newer version, but also more of the classic art style to complement it.
For me, more it's the 6 player.
players.
That is because I do love the artwork and the style of that, but it's hard to argue with 6 because so many times have we been like, oh, we have more than 4? Well, that's knocked out half our game library.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So if you're interested in Love Letter, you can pre-order it now or wait for the new Choose Your Own Adventure.
A mega game is a type of game that is played in a large room with a large number of players, usually at conventions or other such large gatherings, that has its roots in role-playing, a little bit like a modern board game, but really meant for large groups and not quite the same thing. Everything Epic Games, which is run by Chris Batarlis, a person we've interviewed and we've talked to about these mega games because he's very passionate about them. He's run different ones, he's created different ones. Now he wants to, with Everything Epic, bring out a new hybrid of a mega game with a traditional board game. And the one they are deciding to come out with first is Vampire Masquerade Blood Feud. Based on the Vampire the Masquerade franchise, this is going to be coming to Kickstarter in June. And in the game, players will be choosing a faction of vampires or humans, and you are still going to need a large space, preferably 2 rooms. There are going to be multiple tables, and players will be trying to achieve secret goals with their teams, possibly by themselves, and sometimes meeting together at special tables. That might be a marketplace or a council where you'll be making political decisions or purchasing new upgrades. It is for 4 to 32 players, and there are also going to be 1 to 2 storytellers who are essentially the moderators of the game, but are also still involved in playing it as well. So, like I said, we did this interview, we talked to him. You can look up and read as well about the different types of mega games they've run in the past. It's a very interesting type of experience. And I love that they're now trying to bring this to more mainstream audiences. It is Kickstarter, but it's going to be later available at retail too. So it is something they're trying to make as just a product. And with only a minimum of 4 players. So ideally, it's something you'd be able to play at a normal game night, not with a giant crowd of like 50 people. What do you think? You excited about something like this?
I mean, it's a cool idea, and I really like it, especially if, we're out of it, but if you're in high school or college, this seems like such a perfect item to have. Or I guess it's going into, because it's not out yet.
Yeah.
When we talked to him, he's really passionate about, which is very good. So he's going to make sure it works well. And he's attached the Masquerade, Vampire Masquerade, which I think is a perfect system, because if you have a lot of players, the idea, because I don't know much about it. I mean, I read the description too. I think you actually played one of the Masquerade games.
I've played some of the Bloodlines video.
Right. So but he made it sound like there are different guilds and groups in both the vampires and human side. So that's perfect when you have a large number of people. So 3 people can be like, yeah, we're the bloodletters. I don't know the names of the
Yeah,
people.
sure, why not?
One's the mafia or something. So I think that that theme not only will draw people who are already attached to that property, but the idea of having the multiple warring groups, I think, works well if you're planning to have 32 people.
Yeah, I guess with smaller groups, like you would just be the whole faction as opposed to meeting with each other. And that's the one thing, when we see this Kickstarter, obviously there will be much more detail. But I'm trying to wrap my head around how, because it kind of just sounds like a mega game, just that it can apparently be played with a smaller group. So I really want to see exactly what separates this? What makes it a standard kind of home version of that?
Well, from what I can tell, a mega game doesn't really need a board and stuff. It's almost more akin to LARPing sometimes. So that takes a whole building, I would say.
So you think this will be like more actual cards and tokens?
Like you're just like standing. Like this could easily be played in a game shop where they just set up a couple tables and it's like when you play a card game tournament, you know how you have to move to a new table. You're doing that. It's just, I don't know what would make you rotate if you go over there for the city map, go over here for maybe to look at the marketplace, as you said, stuff like that. Yeah. So it allows for the mega game experience while you did still said 2 rooms, it's still much less space.
Yeah, well, it should be very cool. We're looking forward to finding out more. Like I said, Blood Feud will be on Kickstarter in June.
Capcom and Steamforged have joined forces to make a new video game-based board game called Devil May Cry: The Bloody Palace. This is based on, if you haven't guessed, the Devil May Cry series, particularly the newest edition, and you'll be able to play as the Demon Hunters, Dante, Nero, Trish, and the new V. Don't know much about him. In this game, you'll be working on making stylish combos, killing demons, and of course, upgrading your character. We don't know much, but you can enter right now just by signing up for their newsletter to win the largest pledge level. I think they said it's a total of £150 worth to get the whole game for free. So that's pretty cool. You might want to check that out. This is the third, I think. Third or fourth? Fourth. I forgot. I always forget Resident Evil.
That's one.
Video game property that Steamforged just got. And of those, Resident Evil has come out, and I think that was very well received. Was it?
I've seen mixed things.
Okay, I haven't looked too much into Resident Evil, I'll be honest. I thought you...
Yeah, I know that people were very unhappy with the components.
Oh, the components? Okay. We have played the Dark Souls one, and while we really loved the boss fighting, we weren't too keen about the earlier part.
I feel like
Horizon was successful.
But we have nothing's come out yet. Wasn't there another announcement like not that long ago? Because I remember having the same conversation on camera about us being like kind of still on the fence about Steamforged. I feel like it was maybe they had another video game property, but now I can't remember.
Yeah, I cannot.
What it was. Put it on screen.
I have played the previous Devil May Cry series. I haven't played the most recent one.
Yeah.
And that one is, I think it's been well received. There's some people who said they didn't like it because the campaign's too short, but it's like too short as in not 200 hours, it's regular game length.
Well, do you think that series lends itself well to a board game?
That's the thing. I'm not sure because those series, I feel like, because the stylish is all about it's almost button mash, not in a rude way button mashing, but like
combos.
All these crazy combos, flying across the screen, doing stuff. I mean, he has a lot of different equipment and stuff with Dante, and I have seen good video game like board games that I didn't expect. Like I know one of my favorites actually is the not Dark Souls, but Bloodborne card game. Like I really enjoy that. So you don't have to make it. Sometimes actually making it too close to the property. I think that's what the problem with Dark Souls is. It was too close.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't played Devil May Cry, but I've played similar kinds of action games, and it doesn't seem like a genre that. It just seems like a solo experience. So to make it a competitive thing feels a little bit.
I think. Once
strange.
Again, like I said, Bloodborne made me think, okay, you can do something interesting and weird.
Yeah.
My problem is, once again, it's just all these minis, just a huge pile, and I'm like, can we just get a smaller game?
It's what works. It's what people like.
It's what works. It's what Kickstarter loves. And I noticed they didn't mention. Can't remember her name, but there's another major female character who uses rocket launchers, and I'm like, she's probably a Kickstarter exclusive.
Stretch goal. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. They keep doing it. It keeps working for them. Apparently, they're going to get like every video game property.
Maybe they'll also, apparently Capcom loves them, so maybe we're going to see a new Mega Man from them. Monster Hunter.
Phoenix Wright.
Oh yeah, Phoenix Wright. A miniatures Phoenix Wright game.
I think they should do it. The Mensa organization has announced their winners for their 2019 Mensa Select. If you didn't know, Mensa actually awards certain board games every year with this title, games that they believe have a high level of strategy, complexity, but also they award them for just being a good game and for being more or less accessible to a wide variety of audiences. Not too dissimilar from the Spiel des Jahres. The games that they have awarded this year, they've got 2 from Renegade Game Studios, Architects of the West Kingdom and Gunky Mono, 2 from ZMan, which are Gizmos and Victorian Masterminds, and then 1 from Blue Orange Games called Planet. I cannot say I have experience with most of these games. We've played Gizmos, we've seen Architects of the West Kingdom around, Gunky Mono, some of these other ones. Never heard of Planet or Victorian. I think Victorian Masterminds I'd seen maybe the box art somewhere, but I really didn't know what it was. And I don't know how much weight anyone puts into these. Supposedly the way that they choose them is by just the judges play through a ton of these games over a period of a few days straight and decide which ones they like the best. So I have no idea what didn't make the cut, how they decide on an initial pool of what to play. But it kind of does remind me of an American Spiel des Jahres that no one cares about. It's just what I feel like this award is. What do you think about some of those same titles did kind of pop up. I guess Gizmos wasn't up for anything really, but.
Well, Architects definitely has been heavily talked about, and I do have that coming with Paladins. So we'll be able to play that then. And Gizmos, I did really enjoy. The only reason, honestly, I don't think we don't own it is because we already have such a huge backlog of games.
Yeah, I liked Gizmos. I wasn't crazy about it. But did you think, what do you think about that Mensa brand? Do you feel like do you think these games are actually enriching people's minds? Or do you think this is just Mensa, it's kind of a gimmicky thing and they're like, let's put our name on some boxes and the publishers have it so people will think, oh, this game's good for my kids or something. It'll make them smarter.
I don't know how much weight it would hold for us.
Well, we're hopeless.
I'm sorry, when I say us, I mean the heavier nerd board game community. I don't know if you're not as big of a nerd and you see the word Mensa, maybe that will make it hold more. So in that case, that might be a very good thing. And of course, just more awards, especially when it goes to different games. So it's not all on one game. Not that something when Gloomhaven or Scythe just sweeps the field. They deserve it for a reason. But it's nice so you can look at other games and be like, oh, okay, there's a reason to play this game. I think we joke in our April Fools when there's usually only 2 games people talk about after all the conventions. It's nice if some other games get a little spotlight.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Check out the Mensa Award winners for yourself right now and let us know what you think.
Well, let's talk about what games you can now purchase. We've got Embark, which is from Tasty Minstrel and inside their Harbor universe. We've also got Incredibles Save the Day, which is about the Incredibles movie. And we've also got Power Grid Recharged, which is actually the new edition designed to replace the original Power Grid. And finally, we've got the D&D Stranger Things edition, which you can pair up with your Waffles game if you're a big Stranger Things fan.
I love that Waffles game, man. That's the best.
I don't think either of us have played it, have we?
I play it every day.
Okay.
You're just not invited to those parties. This seems like some fun little ones. Ravensburger, I know, is doing that Incredibles game, and they seem to be on a kick, like they did that Jurassic Park game of doing these licensed titles, which I think is interesting. And they seem to be maybe a little better than the average, but I don't know if I wonder if people actually like them outside of people who don't know about board games.
Well, it's one of those things that you can easily sell at a Target and Walmart, which, as we've talked about, they've definitely been growing their collection. It's not just Hasbro's Monopoly and stuff.
Right.
So I think that's really your target audience for those kinds of games. And sure, maybe, as you said, it's a little bit better, but all you need is a little bit better for people to realize, now that they picked up that, oh, maybe I'll pick up this Ticket to Ride now. Kind of deal.
I agree. Why not? Who doesn't love The Incredibles? So some cool stuff there. Let us know in the comments what you're buying. You're going to be D&Ding, or do you have thoughts on some of our other news stories from this week? What you think should have won the Mensa Awards, or if you're looking forward to the new Love Letter, Devil May Cry game.
Do you have 32 people to play a mega game?
Yeah, and if you do, send them our way so that we can play it also. Or you can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, @Roll4Crit. Look right down in the description below to see where all that stuff is happening.
But until then, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been a Roll4Crit News Roundup.
Hey, if you liked this video, then like this video and subscribe to our channel for more board game content.
Would you kindly do it now?